Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Welcome one and all to another episode of the Everything is Bad Newfangled Motion Picture Show. I'm your host, Niall.
And I'm your host, Nolan.
And today we're going to be reviewing the latest movie based on a book by the Prince of the Oyster Pirates himself, Jack London. We're talking about The Call of the Wild.
Yep, the latest of many adaptations of The Call of the Wild.
Yeah, how many times has this been made?
I don't even know. I was reading about it, though, and this is like one of the few times they got the breed of dog right.
Oh, yeah?
They almost always use a husky.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense for the environment.
But in the book, he was a Saint Bernard and like Scottish Shepherd mix or something. And the dog they used for reference is a Saint Bernard Collie mix. And it's
going to be a really intelligent dog.
I was reading about it.
Real quick, before we get too far into this, we're going to do a spoiler-free review up front. And then we'll give you a spoiler warning and go more in depth into it after that. You know, if you're worried about having The Call of the Wild spoiled for you.
I think the book was published in like 1903 or something like that.
So, you've been warned. But anyway.
Yeah, so I was reading about it, and so when they were start doing like pre-production or something, the director's wife found this dog for sale, which is a Saint Bernard Collie mix, named Buckley.
Oh, it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. So they bought the dog, and that became the dog they used for reference for Buck.
Or like just when they needed someone like to be looking at the dog,
or and also a reference for the animators because you know the dog is all CG.
Yeah.
And so if they need someone to hug the dog or hold the dog, interact with the dog, and then for animation reference, Buckley, who they just started calling Buck,
makes sense.
Became the dog.
I want to mush that dog's face, Nolan.
Anyway, so this movie, have you ever read the book?
I have not.
I read it in like third grade. I don't really remember much about it.
When I was in like 5th grade and 6th grade, in my reading classes or whatever, we read a few like, you know, young adult like adventure novels that, in retrospect, were very Jack London-esque. But weren't Jack London. I can't even remember the name. We read one that took place during the Yukon Gold Rush, too, and I can't remember what it was called. And looking back on it, I'm kind of upset about that because if you're gonna read something that's Jack London-esque, you might as well read Jack London so that later in life you can talk about it and you at least appear well read.
Right.
You know, because it's like, oh, you've read Jack London versus, oh, you've read whoever the hell wrote that
random
book you can't remember the name of.
Random story that mimicked Jack London.
You know, like, one makes you sound, you know, intelligent and well-read at parties, and one makes you sound like you went to public school.
So anyway, this movie is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't real excited for it. Our mom wanted to see it, and since we're good sons, we took her to see it. If it weren't for that, we probably wouldn't have even bothered.
Yeah, it was alright. Performances were generally okay, except for there's this, like, villain character kind of chews the scenery.
He was pretty over the top, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then my only other, like, complaint, I guess, is, so while all the animals in this movie are CG, and while they do a pretty good job most of the time, when the animals touch each other, you can tell that it's CG.
There was one scene that, like, you could tell was CG just because of the movements the animals were doing and stuff, but like where it was actually well animated. And I'll mention that in spoiler parts. But yeah, for the most part, when the animals touched, especially there was a scene like towards the end of the movie that like we're just sitting there going like, oh, that looks really weird.
Yeah,
it was like two animals in their fur, like where their fur overlapped. It was just really weird looking, and it just
Yeah, it didn't look great.
But yeah, so the original trailers for this movie had some really rough CG for the dog. And it's definitely better than that. That improved.
One thing is obvious. I mean, that a CG is the dog. Is really expressive.
Yeah.
From what I had heard, the director wanted a fully CG dog because of the control you could have over the expression and motions, and because the book is told from Buck's point of view.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Not like first person as Buck, like
Right,
with human thoughts or anything like that. But it's I forget what it's called, but it's basically it's like Harry Potter, where it's like third person, but it's always from Harry's point of view.
Except for that 7th book where there was the
well, okay, scene. So it's the same thing with the Call of the Wild.
Yeah,
it's third person, but it's from Buck's point of view all the time, and so the director wanted the movie to be like that because they never really done that before. It's always been from what's his name? Harrison Ford's character.
John Thornton.
Yeah, it's always basically been from his point of view or some of the other humans' points of view, and there's a dog there.
Well, it makes sense because you can't really accomplish that with actual animals, and the technology wasn't there in previous iterations. But it makes sense because if you want a dog, because like the dog needs to express its emotion so that the audience understands like what the dog is thinking, or whatever. And like, how do you train a real dog to like, all right, now look confused, now look afraid, now look. I mean, how do you make a dog look afraid without making it afraid? And you're a horrible monster if you do that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how they shot Old Yeller.
Vacuum cleaners.
Could be.
That's how they made the dogs scared. But yeah, it's okay. The thing is, like, I could see where for the time, I'm sure like Jack London adventure novels were extremely exciting for, like 10 to 16-year-old boys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anymore, it's like, there's frankly just more exciting stuff to read.
Yeah, well, to me also, I grew up when I was really young. The only channels on cable geared towards children was the Disney Channel. We didn't even have Nickelodeon. Our cable company didn't provide Nickelodeon until
like 95 or something like that.
Earlier than that, but there was a time where there was no Cartoon Network, no Nickelodeon. Like Nickelodeon existed, but our cable channel didn't carry it.
Yeah, Cartoon Network didn't happen until the late 90s. I think.
No, early
mid 90s.
Cartoon Network had been around since the early 90s, I think, but
early.
We didn't get it, and our cable company didn't start carrying it until like 97-ish.
Okay.
Anyway, so I watched a lot of Disney Channel as a kid, and there were like Disney adaptations of Jack London stories. There was The Call of the Wild and White Fang and like some others. And so I kind of wound up watching all those a lot. And so it's even it's kind of like I've seen it.
In a world where you own Star Wars and VHS, like it's not that exciting, right?
Right.
But so I mean it's I'm sure I don't know how close this movie is to the novel. It seems like a good adaptation of that novel, but like
I don't remember. I know I read it in elementary school, and I don't remember it that well. The only parts that really stand out in my mind is the early parts where
is the sled dog?
No, before he even gets to Alaska. That's the only part that like stands out in my mind.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but yeah, it must not have left much of an impression on me if I don't really remember the book.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's alright. It's a fine movie. The dog's cute.
Yeah. So if you're interested, yeah, I guess go see it. I think on some level does kind of benefit from the big screen just because these vistas of like northern Canada and Alaska wilderness, which are like really amazing, landscapes. Other than that, no, there's no real reason to see it.
Honestly, it feels like a Disney Plus movie to me.
Yeah, this was distributed by Fox, right?
Was it? I thought it was Paramount. They showed the. Oh yeah, 20th Century Fox. Okay, yeah. It felt like something. There's a number of movies that when they launched Disney Plus, they made specifically for Disney Plus, and this kind of feels on that level to me.
Yeah. Could have been though that once they got Harrison Ford involved, it wasn't going to wind up on Disney Plus.
Didn't that what was that what was that old animated movie that they recently redid? What was it? Which one was it for Disney Plus?
Lady and the Tramp.
Was it Lady and the Tramp?
Yeah.
Didn't that have a pretty stacked cast?
Oh, I don't remember. I didn't see it. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it's just kind of an alright, okay movie. It's not bad by any means.
Yeah, there's nothing about it that is bad. There's nothing like done wrong or bad about it. It's just the story's just. I mean, it was exciting 100 years ago, probably, but
yeah. It has it's a few funny moments, I guess. They play the dog for laughs a lot of the time,
especially early on.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna throw up a spoiler warning here, I guess.
Sure. So henceforth are spoilers.
Yep.
The one thing that had the dogs interacting that I thought looked like the CG I thought was fine was when he's fighting that other sled dog.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything in that made me go like, ugh.
But when that female wolf, the she-wolf, when they're like brushing up against each other, it looks so weird because their fur doesn't look right where they touch.
It's like, because
like both of them individually look just fine. They look good,
in
fact. But then once they come in contact with each other,
she's a timber wolf, and so has this like poofy mane of hair around the shoulders, and so when Buck like rubs up against that, it doesn't like deform. Like it doesn't look like it like gets pushed.
It's like it passes through.
Right. So it doesn't like
it's like a clipping thing.
Yeah, it looks like it. You would expect as you push into the fur, you would expect to see some of it like lay down and shift and stuff, and it doesn't happen. And so it just looks really weird.
Yeah. And
like when it happened, I think we both went like, ugh.
Like I said, individually, Buck and this wolf both look great.
And it's like,
but then when they touch, you're like, oh, that's fake.
Thing is, like, it's I think made worse by the fact that they're both like really nice looking CG models. When something like that happens, it's even more off-putting. Like when it looks basically real, and then something like that happens.
It's this uncanny valley thing.
Yeah, it's just like much more off-putting than if the same thing happened in like Secret Life of Pets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was probably the biggest example of like rough CG in the movie, I think.
Yeah, most of the CG looked pretty good. Every once in a while there'd be a scene where you knew it was CG just because like the expression on the animal's face or whatever was like a little too human or something, maybe, and you're like, well, all right, I know it's CG. Most of the interactions between humans and Buck looked fine. I don't remember anything really standing out there. It was just that one part with the Timberwolf.
Not even that much interaction with the dog, though.
Yeah. Well, every once in a while, like Harrison Ford would put his arm around him or something, but they had like a real dog sitting there. So they might have only even just replaced his head. or something, while the rest of it was real. You don't know how. I don't know how much they actually.
Or if it was shot from behind, they might not even have had to do that much.
Right there. So
Just bump the mic there.
Drop my phone.
It's making all kinds of background noise.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, I don't know. Spoilers for a story that's over 100 years old. Basically, Buck laid out. Buck is a dog, lives in like Southern California, or at least not Northern California, and he gets captured because people are paying good money for dogs, especially large ones, up in the Yukon, because they need them to pull
during the gold rush.
During the gold rush, they need to pull sleds and haul stuff. So this guy steals Buck, and sells him off.
Buck's a spoiled dog.
Buck's a spoiled dog.
Some might even say a bad dog.
He is kind of a bad dog, but this is the story of how Buck becomes a good boy.
Yep.
Anyway, he gets taken up north. He becomes a sled dog for a while and learns to become an alpha dog, and then eventually winds up with Harrison Ford's character, and they just, hey, let's go explore
off the
map, and they go out, and they're just kind of living out in the wilderness until this guy that is convinced that this guy was looking for gold, and he's convinced Harrison Ford knows where the gold is.
He also at one point owned Buck.
Yeah. Anyway, all this stuff. The guy shows up, kills Harrison, or shoots Harrison Ford. Buck kills the guy. Harrison Ford dies, and Buck lives with the wolves up there.
Yep.
He becomes the alpha of the wolf pack.
Seems unlikely to happen, but
he is bigger than all those wolves, though.
Which is weird. Like, I get that.
In the book, he's an especially large dog.
Yeah.
And he's like 140 pounds or something like that.
Holy crap.
Yeah. He's a big dog. Which is something else they play for laughs, like people trying to physically move Buck all the time are like unable to do it.
If he doesn't want to move,
he just like sits there and like the people just can't move him. They're trying to push him and stuff.
Or it takes like two people to drag him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, being a dog and not a wolf, he's probably smarter than the wolves, especially of that breed.
Yeah.
So I guess it would make sense for him to.
Well, there's a voiceover at the end, Harrison Ford saying how like his Buck's offspring had the fierceness of the wolves, but the intelligence of the dog, which made them like superior than both or something like that.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's The Call of the Wild. Our next movie that we're going to be reviewing is Onward, and that's going to be late.
Yeah.
By week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe?
Good amount of time.
Early reviews coming up from Onward are very meh. Which I've been very unexcited about the movie like the whole time. But I mean, you would think like, oh, fantasy movie with two brothers, one of whom is an overweight metalhead. Like, you think we'd be all over that.
See, the problem is they both need to be overweight metalheads.
Yeah, then we'd really
be into it.
Yeah,
if they're both overweight metalheads.
Yeah, and it's just so some early reviews coming out that I've seen are just very like, it's okay, it's predictable and cheesy in that like heartwarming sort of way.
It looks like something that like I really dig conceptually.
It's at 114 minutes. It also feels like it's going to be too long for what it is.
Yeah, well, it's Pixar. They're always like 2 hours ish.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna happen late. And the only reason we're saying that is because it is Pixar. And And then the next movie after that we're going to see is Bloodshot. That's also going to be late by probably a week. That movie looks bad, but it looks fun. It's Vin Diesel. It's kind of a neat concept, but it looks like a dumb action movie. So, it's got Guy Pearce in it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about Pixar's latest movies have all been kind of mostly underwhelming. I wonder how much of that has to do with, what's the name stepping down?
Lasseter?
Yeah, Lasseter.
I don't know. Did you see the thing, Bob, Iger stepped down?
Yeah, he had announced he was going to do that a while back.
Right, but it's like, it happened this week.
He's just retiring, I think.
Yeah, I mean, why would you bother working? That man's got to be one of the, wealthiest people in Hollywood, right?
I guess. I didn't see who's replacing him, though.
I did, and I don't remember who it is. But anyway, so then, that's after that. The end of the month is Mulan. I'm definitely going to be seeing that. You think this untitled DC film on April 3rd is going to happen?
No. Well, I don't know. It's DC. They might be able to crank something out in a month.
Do you think so? We're seeing New Mutants? It's finally coming out. I mean, it's horror.
Delayed for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, Maisie Williams, hit puberty in between when that movie was filmed and now.
Yeah. I mean, that movie, it's horror, which isn't really our thing, but it's also technically in the X-Men universe, right?
Yeah.
It's in this existing canon of the X-Men / Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But we're definitely seeing No Time to Die.
Ain't got time to die.
Yeah. Probably seeing Antlers?
Yeah. I think we might see him.
Again, horror is not really our thing, but
it looks good though.
Is this the one that was written by Guillermo del Toro?
I know he's involved.
Is he a producer or something? You sure he's involved?
I swear he was involved. I thought I saw his name on a poster somewhere. Yeah, there he is, producer.
Oh, he's a producer. Okay. So, it's not going to be, that much of an impact on it, but...
It
but
looks
it does
like
look
a
interesting.
Leshen from Witcher, though.
Yeah. I guess it's supposed to be a Wendigo?
Wendigo.
Did I pronounce that wrong?
I've
heard it both ways.
I've heard it both ways, but mostly I've heard Wendigo.
Yeah, and then after April, we finally hit May, where we sort of kick off the summer blockbuster season starts happening, starting with Black Widow. SpongeBob's that month. Fast and Furious 9, or F9, I think is the official name of the movie. Is that month. Scoob is that month, which I don't think we're seeing.
So the next Fast and Furious movie, though, they should put a Roman numeral 10, so the movie becomes FX.
Oof. Artemis Fowl finally comes out. Not that I think either of us care about it, but that's another movie that's been...
I'm aware of the existence of the books. I've
delayed.
Never read them.
That was a book whose movie rights were scooped up during the height of Harry Potter. The Harry Potter craze.
Yeah, but it took them
movies.
20 years to make the movie.
Yeah, because it was at a time when basically all the movie companies that weren't Warner Brothers were looking at the success of Harry Potter and went, what other popular scholastic books can we make into movies?
Yeah, so those Percy Jackson movies happen.
Yes. There was another one. I can't remember. There was another.
Was Golden Compass one of them? Maybe.
No, his Dark Materials. No, that wasn't scholastic.
Was that one movie though?
There was a one movie. But anyway, you were reading something to me about why it got pushed back, the most recent time. It basically amounted to Disney realized that they already screwed the movie over by delaying it as long as they did, so might as well delay it so it doesn't compete with something.
Yeah, it was competing once the the merger with Fox went through, suddenly was competing with properties that they owned. And it's one thing to compete with a competing property. It's something else entirely to compete with your own stuff. And so they moved it back into a position where it wasn't competing with anything else that they had control of.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I mean, if it had been like 10 years ago, it would have been right in the middle of the hype or whatever. But at this point, it was like, it doesn't matter if it's delayed another year. Who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we got coming up.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, it's in June. You see this Candyman sequel?
Yeah. A spiritual sequel
Yeah.
to Candyman?
So I think it means like
a reboot?
A reboot, but they want it to exist in the canon or something. Kind of like, wasn't Casino Royale kind of that way?
Yeah, it was. Casino Royale was a weird thing. It was a reboot sequel simultaneously, only because they kept Judi Dench as M.
Right.
So it's like, well, is she that M? And then they eventually like got rid of her, and they're back to like the male M. I don't know.
Yeah, well, everyone was still kind of like this. I still think it might be a sequel, and then Blofeld was the villain in,
Oh, in the most recent one.
Yeah, and then that very much cemented like, no, this is a reboot series now.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what we got coming up. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, hit the bell, whatever it's called, the alert.
Oh man, I forgot. There's that other Pixar movie coming out, Soul.
Is that Pixar?
Yeah, it looks like it might be a better.
Oh
movie.
yeah, it looks like a better movie than Onward. I remember seeing the trailer for that now, and it's all about like a guy wants to be a jazz musician or something.
And he dies, and so now he's like a wandering soul.
Yeah, that looks interesting, and it considering all of the advertising that Onward has been getting for like the last year, it seems kind of shitty that the first I had heard of this was a trailer when we saw
Like Lion King or Aladdin, maybe.
No, it was more recent than that. I thought
it might be Aladdin. That was the most recent Disney movie we saw, like straight on Disney.
Yeah, but no, there was something more recent than that, I think. But yeah, either way, like it's kind of shitty that that's the first we heard of it.
Well, I'm sure we'll see a lot more advertisement for it after Onward comes out.
Yeah. But I mean, we've been seeing Onward ads and trailers and posters and stuff for a year now.
Yeah, it's weird that they have two movies coming out so close together.
That happened the same year that The Good Dinosaur came out.
Yeah,
it was just a few months after Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
So I don't know. It's like there's a B team at Pixar,
right?
And this is the movie being made by the B team.
Not Soul, but
no
Pixar, but Onward.
Yeah. So anyway, also check out our other reviews. What was the last one we did?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
You had it this time.
I did have it this time.
Did you look it up before we sat down to record?
I did not.
Oh, you just remembered.
I remembered it was Sonic.
It was such a memorable review, such a memorable movie.
Yep.
More
memorable than The Call of the Wild, I'll give it that.
Yeah. So go check out that review. And yeah, that it? We good? We're done here? We're all done here? Alright, that's the end of that chapter. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.